Hey everyone, so back into my EDH deck techs. Today I am doing Rootha, Mercurial artist. She is from the Prismari school on Strixhaven. She's the second student, which one of the uncommon legendaries from Strixhaven that I've done. I've already done Quatorius. Before I get into the video, I just want to remind you to go and like, comment, and subscribe. Also, you can go and follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Jarvis_Moonbeam, and also on Twitch at twitch.tv/Jarvis_Moonbeam. And you join my Discord by following the link. And finally, you'll find the link to this deck tech in the video below. So, with Rootha, she is a 1 a blue and a red, 1/4 orc shaman. That for 2 generic, you return her to your hand and copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. So the first thing I could think of that I wanted to do when it came to doing Rootha was to go and make an extra turn stack and copying the extra turn spells. So this is Rootha turns. And normally I have a section at the end where I'm telling you what the win cons are. The only win con in this deck is just taking turn after turn after turn. So, what are the extra turn spells? You have a few different creatures. The first, Lighthouse Chronologist. It's 1 and a blue. Human Wizard that has a level up mechanic. For a blue mana, you level it up. It starts at a 1/3. Once you get it to level 7, at the beginning of each end step, if it's not your turn, you get an extra turn after this one. So how that works is, it's your turn. You pass it to the player to your left. They take their turn, then you get an extra turn. Then it goes to the next player, then you get an extra turn. Then it goes to the next player, then you get an extra turn. So it just you get a turn after every other player's turn. Time Stream Navigator for 1 and a blue, Ascend, 2 and 2 blue. You get to tap it and put it on the bottom of your library, and you take an extra turn after this one. But you can only do that if you have the City's Blessings. We're playing EDH. It's easy to get the City's Blessing. Ralzeric is a Planewalker, 2 blue and a red. Has a few different abilities. You can +1 it to tap a target permanent, then untap another target permanent. -2 to deal 3 damage to any target. The big one is -7. Flip 5 coins, take an extra turn after this one for each coin that comes up ends. So, a possibility of 5 extra turns. Teferi, Master of Time, 2 and 2 blue. You can activate his abilities on any player's turn, anytime you cast an instant. So +1 is draw a card, then discard a card. -3 is target creature you don't control phases out. And -10 is take 2 extra turns after this one. And Mu Yang Ling, 4 blue. +2, target creature can't be blocked this turn. -3, draw 2 cards. -10, tap all creatures your opponents control. You take an extra turn after this one. Then you have just the regular extra turn spells. Temporal Manipulation, 3 blue, take an extra turn. Time Warp, 3 blue, take an extra turn. Karn's Temporal Sundering, 4 blue, take an extra turn and return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand, and you exile Karn's Temporal Sundering, which you will notice this is a common theme with extra turns, is that you have to exile them after casting them. Part the Water Veil, 4 blue, take an extra turn after this one, and then exile it, or you can cast it for its awakening cost, which is 6 blue, and you also could put a 6+1/+1 counters on target land, and it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with haste. Walk the Aeons, 4 blue, which has buyback to sacrifice 3 islands. Target player takes an extra turn. Alrund's Epiphany, the newest extra turn spell, 5 blue, you create 2 1/1 blue bird creature tokens with flying. Take an extra turn after this one, then exile it. And it also has Foretell for 4 blue. So pay the 2 to foretell it, then later on you could go and pay 6 to take an extra turn. Nexus of Fate, 5 blue, you take an extra turn, and if it's put into your graveyard from anywhere, you reveal it and shuffle it into your library. Beacon of Tomorrows, 6 blue, take an extra turn, then shuffle it back into the library. Expropriate, commander staple from yesteryear, 7 blue. Starting with each player. Starting with you, each player votes for time or money. If they vote for time, you get an extra turn. If they vote for money, you get one of their permanents. And then you exile expropriate. Most people should vote for money, but a lot of people vote for time instead, so it's possible off this one spell to get 4 extra turns. Time stretch, 8 blue blue. You take 2 extra turns. Temporal trespass, 8 blue blue blue. It has delve, so you can take an extra turn for possibly just 3 blue mana, and you take an extra turn. And then, as you can tell, those extra turn spells, they're really expensive. So we have lots of different ways to ramp, either in traditional ramp, like Mana Rocks or Solemn Simulacrum, or through just mana reduction. First one is Dockside Extortionist, 1 in a red, where you create X treasures, where X is the number of artifacts and enchantments your opponents control, and it's a 1/2 goblin. You should know this by now, it's a Commander All-Star, it's very good. Goblin Electromancer, a blue and a red, instants and sorcery spells you cast 1 less to cast. Spectacle Mage, 1 a blue and a red. It's a 2/2 Bird Shaman that instant and sorcery spells you cast with mana value 5 or greater cost 1 less to cast, and most of them worth 5 or greater. Galazeth Prismari, 2 a blue and a red. When it enters, you get a treasure token, and then artifacts you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color, spend it only to cast an instant or sorcery spell. Which, that means your artifacts like Lightning Greaves, Swiftfoot Boots, anything like that could also be tapped for mana. Solemn Simulacrum. When it enters, you may put a basic land card on the battlefield tapped, and when it dies, you draw a card. Goldspan Dragon, 3 red red, flying and haste, and whenever it attacks or becomes a turn of a spell, create a treasure token. And this also makes your treasures tap for 2 mana instead of 1. Jessica's Will, 2 in a red, choose 1 if you control commander. You can, as you cast this, you may choose both. Add red for each card in target opponent's hand, and as the top 3 cards of your library, you may play them this turn. Soul Ring. Everyone knows Soul Ring. Arcane Signet. Everyone should know Arcane Signet by now as well. Belwar Stone. Another one that you should know. Mind Stone. This is another way to go and utilize the artifact to draw a card. Sapphire Medallion is 2, and it makes your blue spells cost 1 less to cast. Talisman of Creativity. It's the blue-red talisman. Thought Vessel gives you no maximum hand size. Primal Amulet. This gives you the reduction of instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you put a charge counter on it. Then if there are 4 more charge counters on it, you may remove those counters and transform it. And you can tap it and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. And when you use it to cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy that spell and choose new targets for the copy. So another way to copy your extra turn spells. Pyromancer's Goggles. You tap it for a red, and when it's spent to cast an instant or sorcery spell, you could copy that and you choose the targets. Another way to copy it. Training Grounds is a single blue. This is mostly for Rootha herself, that you could go and reduce the cost of her activated ability by 1, because you can't reduce it to less than 1 mana, but it reduces all activated abilities of creatures by 2. Jace's Sanctum, 3 in a blue. Instants and sorcery spells you cast 1 less. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you can scribe 1. Arcane Melee, 4 in a blue. Instants and sorcery spells cost 2 less to cast. And then you have your interaction and your other good stuff, like stuff that doesn't necessarily fit underneath one of the other buckets, or card draws, something like that. Hole Breacher, 2 in a blue, flash, and if an opponent would draw a card, except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, you create a treasure token. Archmage Emeritus, 2 and 2 blue. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, you draw a card. God Eternal Kefnet, 2 and 2 blue. You may reveal the first card you draw each turn as you draw it. Whenever you reveal an instant or sorcery card, copy that card and you may cast the copy. The copy costs 2 less to cast. So another way to go and get an extra turn spell. And whenever it dies, you may put it third from the top. Fluster Storm, a single blue. Counter target spell with Storm. Mystical Tutor, a way to go and tutor any instant or sorcery to the top of your library. Pongify, a removal, destroy target creature. Rapid Hybridization, same thing as Pongify, just destroy a target creature. Swan Song, counter a target enchantment, instant, or sorcery. Vandal Blast, destroy artifacts. A Braid, either deal 3 damage to a creature or destroy a target artifact. Counterspell, good old counterspell, just to counter that spell. Cyclonic Rift, overload it for a board wipe and take complete control of the game. Mana Drain, another way to ramp. Mana Drain a larger spell to go and cast the extra turn spell. Narcissus Reversal, you could either use this to go and stop something your opponent is trying to do, or you could also use this to copy your own extra turn spell, but return it to your hand and cast it again. Chaos Warp, 2 and a red. The owner of target permanent shuffles it into his library, then reveals the top card. Get rid of pesky permanents that way. Deflect and Swat. Just redirect. If you control commander, you may cast the spell without paying its mana cost. You may choose new targets for target spell or ability. Fierce Guardianship, 2 and a blue. If you control commander, you may cast the spell without paying its mana cost as well. It counters a non-creature spell. Valakut Awakening. This is a loot effect, really. You put any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your library, then draw that many cards +1. And it also acts as a land. Enters the battlefield tapped. Wheel of Misfortune. I don't own a Wheel of Fortune, so I don't build decks with Wheel of Fortune because they're quite expensive. And while I don't necessarily build budget brews, I build the brews the way that I would build them if I were to build them in paper. And buying a $400, $500, $600 card isn't something I'm going to do in paper. So I play Wheel of Misfortune instead. Windfall, another wheel. Each player discards their hand and draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards the player discarded this way. Play this with Hullbreacher out. Seagate Restoration, draw cards equal to the number of cards in your hand +1. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. It also acts as a land. Blasphemous Act, a board wipe. Twinning Staff, 3 generic. Most important, if you copy a spell 1 or more times, instead copy it that many times, plus an additional time, you may choose new targets for the additional copy. So, you can go and get 3 or 4 extra turn spells, because as I already showed, you have Pyromancer's Goggles, Primal Amulet. This would copy it. So you have Twinning Staff that goes and copies those spells. So you can just go and lock up the game that way. And for 7 generic, you could tap it to copy target insert sorcerer spell you control. So if this is really late game and you have a ton of mana, you could really go crazy here. Mystic Remora, to slow your opponents down. Either that or give you card draw to get to those spells faster. Ristic Study, same thing. Leyline of Anticipation, it's just really good to have, especially in blue, play things like instant speeds. And most extra turns are sorcery speeds, so you might be able to go and sneak an extra turn on an opponent's turn. Shark Typhoon, this is pretty much one of the ways to win. You're taking extra turns and hoping to win that way, but with Shark Typhoon, you can go and attack and hope that you could go and do it with the sharks on the battlefield. And now our mana base. Lands, we have Ancient Tomb, Cascade Bluffs, Castle Vantress, Command Beacon, Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Fabled Passage, Fiery Islet, Frostboil Snarl, Ghost Quarter, Mystic Sanctuary, Prismatic Vista, Reliquary Tower, and Scavenger Grounds. Then you also have the Blue-Red Pathway and Riverglide Pathway / Lava Guide Pathway, a Shivan Reef, Steam Vents, Temple of Epiphany, and Training Center. As you can tell, extra turn spells, the ones that I'm using, are mostly blue, so I'm running 12 basic lands with 4 basic mountains. The reason why I'm not running the red extra turn spells is then I would also have to run Sundial of the Infinite, or another way to end my turn, because the red extra turn spells all have the clause that if you don't win at the end of the turn, you lose the game, and I'm not about that life. So, as you can tell, this is all in on taking extra turns. I'm not really trying to do anything else except take those extra turns, and to stop people from stopping me from taking extra turns. Hopefully you enjoyed this deck. I will go and be doing the rest of the Strixhaven students. I still have Dina, Zamone, and one more, Killian left as well. Then I will go and do new EDH deck techs after that. But until next time, have a good one. See ya.